Welcome to Transcend Awards. Adaptations in gymnastics environments. Gymnastics activity adaptations. Gymnastics venue operators, external hirers, clubs and activity providers have a duty to adapt activities during times of infectious disease pandemics to prevent the spread of the infection. Use the venue operators or external hirers' risk assessment and safe operating procedures in order to do this. Some of the workforce delivering activities may have been involved in the risk assessment and design of the safe operating procedures and may be familiar with the requirements of them as a result. Some of the workforce delivering activities will be provided with the risk assessment and safe operating procedures from their management and will be required to abide by these when setting their session plans and activities or when managing their environment and enforcing activities procedures in their role. The whole workforce has a duty of care to be aware of the risk assessments and adhere to and implement the safe operating procedures. Operators and external hirers should strongly consider relevant training specific to the venue to support their workforce with understanding and applying any new procedures and adaptation. Gymnastics activity adaptations. Activity adaptations must consider social distancing and robust hygiene practice to prevent the spread of infectious disease. Operators should also consider the extensive advice provided by their governing bodies and industry leaders, including British Gymnastics, Sport England, Sport Wales, UK Active, CIMSPA, Public Health Wales and Public Health England. Let's have a look at some examples of activity adaptations that gymnastics clubs and venues might adopt to ensure safe operating procedures during a pandemic. Facility adaptations. Gymnastics activities can take place in a range of different indoor facilities, including bespoke gymnastics centres, sports halls, studios, and even community centres. It is important to consider adaptations and risk assessment for the specific facility you use. Some general adaptations to consider could be staying up to date with latest government, industry and operator guidance, timings and duration of your sessions to consider limiting clusters of participants and handovers, entry and exit points and a one-venue system for gymnasts and parents or adults. Other users in a shared use facility. Bottleneck areas, corridors and access to toilets and changing areas. Consider giving each gymnast a basket for their footwear, clothes or drink that they take around the gym hall with them. Time scheduled for cleaning of area and equipment in between every session. One parent or adult per child and handover at venue external entrance. A pandemic and infection situation can bring many changes and considerations to gymnastics activities. It is imperative that gymnastics clubs and venue operators adhere to government and industry guidelines at their facility. Activity adaptations, apparatus, equipment and spotting. Gymnastics activities commonly require a range of different apparatus and handheld equipment, as well as manual support, spotting as a coaching method. Some general adaptations to consider could be follow your venue or club's operating procedures and policies, use floor markers or cones to space out the gymnast's area prior to the session. Set up all your equipment beforehand, cleaned from previous session. limit use of non-essential equipment, give an item per gymnast, and adapt activities to equipment free. Coaches will not be able to physically support unless in an emergency. Coaches will need to review their coaching methods to non-contact, increasing their visual methods and communication. Gymnasts will not be allowed to work in pairs or groups. Provide them with their own mat. Coaches will need to be creative and use their own and their gymnasts' imagination with space and equipment available. This is a great opportunity for coaches to refresh and re-inspire their coaching methods, trying out new socially distanced techniques and developing imagination and creativity. Activity adaptations, indoor activities, example layouts. Clubs and coaches need to consider layout of space and mats for sessions to ensure social distancing is adhered to and easy to understand for younger children. An example layout to consider is shown. Gymnasts are provided with individual mats that are 2 meters apart, and they utilize that space for the duration of the session, cleaned before the next group. Coach is positioned at the front of the group, 2 meters away with overflow areas to move and be able to safely observe all participants, providing instructions and feedback. Activity adaptations, indoor activities, example layouts. Variations of activity layouts can be used depending on the session, requiring static, moving, or circuit-style activities. If gymnasts move stations during a circuit-style session, consideration needs to be given to cleaning the station equipment and area in between each rotation. Hand sanitizer per station could be an option. British Gymnastics have provided additional examples for a range of activities in their Planning Social Distancing in Sessions resources. Activity adaptations, games and activity ideas. Coaches need to develop their creativity and imagination to deliver technical and progressive skill-based activities while still being fun and engaging with less equipment, socially distant. Some examples could include dancing warm-up, 1, 2, 3 and 4 point balances, sequence themes, north, south, east and west, rock and roll, conditioning. Activity adaptation, games and activity ideas. Coaches need to develop alternative ideas and activities to replace use of apparatus. Some examples could include beam, vault, bars. Adaptations for changing and showering. Other considerations in the gymnastics environment includes those related to changing and showering and individuals. Consideration and clear communication to participants should consider the following. Do not attend gymnastics if you are showing any signs or symptoms of infection. Operators and clubs should be encouraged to have a wellness and participant disclaimer signed for this purpose. Reduce time at the gymnastics venue by arriving ready to participate, attire under clothes. Do not shower and leave the venue as soon as you can. Clothing in own bag, placed in designated area according to the venue or club's instructions, or leave clothing with parent or adult. Bring your own hand sanitizer with you, as well as any other equipment you need, which is clearly identifiable as your own. Follow all the operators and club's guidance and procedures, as they have risk assessed, put them in place for your safety. Respect others, as although you may feel safe, others may not. Always adhere to social distancing. Adaptations for outdoor activities. Outdoor gymnastics activities can take place providing a full risk assessment is completed and consideration is given to the following. Social distancing is still maintained. Being outdoors lowers the risk of transmission of an infection, but only when social distancing is still implemented. Regular checks and decisions on the weather is important. The temperature and suitability to participate in wet, windy or hot weather is important for the health, safety and well-being of the gymnasts and the coaches. Safeguarding needs additional consideration due to potential spectators and open view of the activities. The ground area should be reviewed to determine appropriate. Wet, uneven or concrete ground could cause injuries and risk to health and safety. Clothing appropriate for the weather is vital, as is suitable clothing for being outdoors and potential view of others for safeguarding. Risk of other infections including litter, debris, animal excrement, unknown substances and discarded dangerous objects. Supervision and permission is essential, as surrounding area may have other hazards such as open water, traffic access, and consideration needs to be given to landowners and permission to be using for such activities. Training the workforce. Other considerations in the gymnastics environment includes those related to training and competency of the workforce. Consideration should be given to the following. Return to work and competency-based training. This is particularly important for roles and responsibilities such as first aiders. Understanding of new policies and risk assessments by turning these into fun, games-based learning such as quizzes and competitions to check content has been read and understood. Clothing, belongings of workforce also need to be considered, placed in designated areas according to the venue or club policies and procedures. Bring your own hand sanitizer with you, as well as any other equipment or clothing they need to undertake their duties, which is clearly identifiable as their own. Have some dry runs and walkthroughs prior to opening to participants to ensure the workforce is fully briefed on the layout, processes and new procedures in their workplace. Respect others, as although you may feel safe, others may not. Adhere to social distancing at all times. Industry-specific guidance and updates. Operators and workforce should stay up to date with and access the specific, detailed guidance by experts in the environment, including more examples, resources and tools available for adaptations in the gymnastics environment, which is Gymnastics, UK Active, SIMSPA, Sport England, Sport Wales, Public Health Wales and Public Health England all have the examples, resources and tools available. Thank you for watching. Feel free to watch as many times as you need or move on to the next part of your digital learning experience on your list.